Sometimes, guys, what happens is over time, whether due to an injury, where you get some pain-causing inhibition of some muscles as a bit of a protective mechanism, whether you just develop this really chronically tight shoulder over time, that as a result you lose that proprioceptive input from the shoulder to the brain. Sometimes when you're doing strength training and you're bringing your arms over the top of the head and it just feels like one side doesn't feel quite right, it's a bit weaker or shaky, and if it's not a mobility deficit in itself, then it potentially could be a little bit of decrease in stability to that system. So every now and then we kind of have to take a little bit of a step back. We have to recognize when things like that happen, and we have to go, okay, well, let's just pull back from strength training a little bit and let's work on re-stabilizing the shoulder and getting the system turned back on. So another little exercise that you can kind of do to help with this is what I call, what's called an arm bar. And what you want to do is you want to lie on your back, okay? If I'm going to work my right arm, I'm going to be using this arm here. I'm going to push the dumbbell through to the ceiling, okay? And then what I'm going to carefully do is then roll over onto my side. And I've got two different ways in which I can do an arm bar variation. I'm going to make sure that my neck is also nice and neutral with my spine. I don't want myself kinked like this or kinked like this. So if I need to get a foam roller or have my arm here to make sure that it's neutral, then so be it. I'm going to sort of maintain the position of that dumbbell. I want it perfectly in line with my arm. I want my arm perfectly in line with my shoulder blade, and my shoulder blade perfectly in line with my thoracic spine or my ribs. So what I'm going to do is maintain that position, and I'm just going to gently roll the foam roller out and back in, just continuously. It's not to see how far I can roll it out. It's just to basically give it that little bit of input so that it throws off my lower half. It distracts my lower half so that I have to focus on what's happening with my shoulder and making sure that this dumbbell stays perfectly aligned. Assuming no neck issues, if you need that visual input initially to see where the dumbbell is in space, then by all means do so. But with time, what we want to do is we want to take our vision out of it and rely on more of the proprioceptive input between our joints and our brain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot for 60 seconds in total. Okay, if I don't have a clock in front of me, then if I don't do 60 seconds, I'm going to aim for just 30 little rolls of the foam roller forwards and backwards. Once I've achieved 60, I'm going to roll onto my back, grab it with the other hand, bring the dumbbell back down to the chest. Okay, now what we're looking for is 60 seconds. If I've got a little bit of shaking, that's fine, because that's the work that I want to be doing. But if I'm finding that I'm rocking the dumbbell all over the place and it's very unstable, then I would decrease the weight and just build your way up slowly. You should be able to achieve 60 seconds up in the air, and once you can achieve 60 seconds comfortably with minimal shaking, then try and increase by 2 kilos, increase by 2 kilos, increase by 2 kilos until you're working your way up to a fairly stable weight. Other variations of the arm bar is exactly the same thing, but what you can start to do is be over on your side, and then you can start to roll yourself over onto your front, and then roll yourself all the way over onto your back, and just keep rotating. So you're sort of asking that dumbbell to stay in that perfect position whilst you move your body into different forms of rotation, and once again just requiring that input from those shoulder stabilizers to the brain. Okay, it's important with these exercises that they're a stability-based exercise, so you're not necessarily going to pull up sore from doing isometric exercises. All that's happening is that your muscles are not lengthening and shortening like they do in strength. They're all firing on that ball and socket joint or that glenohumeral joint to stabilize the shoulder joint, all right? And it's important that you lock that elbow out. If you start to see the elbow bend and it's beyond your control, this is where we start to lose that or get that fatigue in the shoulder and start to rely on a bit of those biceps and triceps. So give that a shot, guys. If you notice that one side's a bit different to the other, add this as an accessory stability exercise and see if you can ramp your system up.